if you are into self-improvement, if you are into optimizing yourself, what is the end goal of that? What's the intention behind doing that? And to most people, it's something on the outside. It's either money, status. It always has to do with how other people view you. Because yes, money is of course important to survive and to have freedom of choice and all of those things. But most people don't need to be rich to be free. And they aim for being rich because that's what's admirable. Because they know that if you get rich, if you have a business, if you have a lot of people working for you, if you're very productive, if you do a lot of stuff, then you're rewarded socially because people look up to you. And that's what people aim for. It's not really the freedom, it's not really the money that people want. It's the status. It's the recognition. And so that's unconsciously the intention that people have with improving themselves. And the problem is not just that we aim for something that will never make us happy, because we all know that money, status, anything on the outside really will never make us happy. We all know this. People that have become extremely rich, people that have achieved everything that you could ever dream of, they all say the same thing. Happiness doesn't come from money. It comes from doing things you love and from being around people you love and from being in peace with yourself. And that's really what I want to talk about, how to find peace with yourself. And it's not through optimizing yourself. It's not through improving yourself. A big part of my adult life, so to speak, I've bought into this idea of wanting to optimize myself. It started with confidence because I used to be very self-conscious. I used to not like myself, and I used to be like shy and all of these things. A lot of people I think can relate to that. And this whole self-improvement thing for me, it started with wanting to be more confident, wanting to be more socially present, and wanting to overcome social anxiety in a way. So very, very healthy intentions. And it has served me very well. But it got to a point where I noticed that this self-optimization was kind of leading nowhere. I got more confident. I loved myself more. I became a more well-rounded person. But at a certain point, I noticed that this self-optimization, this being productive, doing a lot of work, that all of that was me justifying my self-worth. Because my self-worth was so tied to what I did, to how much I worked, to how much I improved myself, to how much I optimized myself. That was basically my self-worth. And when I stopped doing that, I started feeling guilty. When I rested, I started feeling like I'm not doing enough. And I'm not enough as a person. And I went through a lot of phases in my life where I went into this extreme hustle mode, where I thought, I have to become rich, I have to create this business, I have to push through and make this happen no matter what. Because I thought I had to optimize myself, because my self-worth was tied to these external things, like how other people see me, how much work I do, and how much money I make, all of those things. And at a certain point, I realized that it's not healthy in any way to live like that. And it might be profitable. You might make more money. But at the end of the day, it comes at the cost of your inner peace and your true self that you're basically numbing, that you're cutting yourself off from. The problem is when we cut ourselves off from certain parts of ourselves. So when we get into this optimization focus, we start believing that certain parts of ourselves are not okay, and certain feelings within ourselves are not okay, and we start cutting ourselves off from those things. And what happens is that instead of finding inner peace through purging those things out, we actually feel even more pain, even more suffering. And we often don't notice that because we're so focused on, working, getting the results, optimizing ourselves. Even when it comes to things like mindfulness. I used to meditate from the intention of wanting to remove the negative feelings, the negative thoughts from my life. And it worked for a while. But it always comes back. All of this personal growth, it always felt unsustainable. It felt like it was only happening in my head at a certain point. And that was because I cut off certain parts of myself. I didn't allow myself to be in a negative state. I didn't allow myself to be anxious. I didn't allow myself to doubt, to worry. I didn't allow myself to do certain behaviors that I always felt pulled towards, whether it's smoking weed, whether it's playing video games, whether, all of these things that are generally seen as negative in this self-help space. I didn't allow myself to do these things and to feel these emotions and to think these negative thoughts because I thought, that I'm beyond that, I'm above that. And I have to cut myself off from that because that's not good. And that's exactly where inner peace then becomes unachievable, unattainable. Because peace means when all parts of you are integrated and there is no war going on within you. And when you cut certain parts off, you might numb them for a while, but they will come back louder, stronger, and more painful than before. And there can't be peace when certain parts are not integrated, when certain parts are not accepted. So all of this is to say that don't resist whatever's going on in your life. What is happening in your life, what is happening within you, what you feel, maybe the habits that you want to do less of. Never resist any of those things. Always allow yourself to feel it and to experience it fully. That's the only way to get rid of them eventually. But you don't want to have the intention of getting rid of them. You don't want to have the intention of removing them out of your life. Because the more you try to remove it, the more you resist it, the more persistent it will be. So instead of trying to purge out and trying to meditate away the negativity, instead of trying to optimize away the habits that you want to do less of and remove all of these things out of your life that you deem as negative, instead of doing all that, just allow those things to be there and fully experience them for what they are. Fully go into the negative emotions that you feel. Fully go into the positive emotions that you feel as well. But of course, that's easy. But I'm talking about the negative experiences, the negative emotions. So specifically, because that's what we cut ourselves off from. And we start thinking that when we have gone a certain path, when we've gone through a certain growth, that certain emotions, like let's say you've gone through this spiritual growth and you've gone through this personal growth, and then you start telling yourself, I am above feeling doubtful, I'm above feeling anxious, because I've grown so much. This is not it's not okay to feel that anymore. And that's exactly what causes this inner war with yourself. That's exactly what causes this lack of peace. And peace does not come from removing everything that you don't like. Peace comes from removing the labels of this is okay and this is not okay, this is good and this is bad. This might be painful and this might be pleasurable, but either one of these emotions, of these experiences, is equally as valid. And this is a practice. This is not something that you just know and then you do it all the time. Because we naturally don't want to accept negativity. We naturally don't want to accept experiencing something that's painful. But true peace comes from accepting everything as it is and removing the resistance. And the reason we suffer is not because we experience problems in our life. It's not because we experience negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative situations. It's because we resist those things. It's because we're not accepting them for what they are. And when we truly accept what is happening within us and without, then we can truly learn peace. And that's what we really all want. We don't want status. We don't want external recognition. That's what the ego wants. That's what your mind is telling you need to chase, because it gives the mind safety. And the only goal for your mind is physical safety. It's to ensure your survival. And that works through the ego, through wanting to be seen as admirable, status. But what your soul wants, what you, the real you, actually wants, is peace. Because when there's peace, then everything naturally happens as it's supposed to be. Then your life naturally develops into what it's supposed to be. Because you're not resisting what's happening. You're not resisting the ebbs and flows of life. Things are happening as they're supposed to. And that's the real goal. That should be the goal of self-improvement. So stop trying to remove negative thoughts. Stop trying to remove negative behaviors, negative emotions, whatever, and simply accept them for what they are. Let life show you the way through truly experiencing what's happening. And that's how you naturally let go of the things that don't serve you. Let go of the things that cause you pain. I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you a new perspective. Leave a like if it did. Subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you in the next video.